So first of all, I acknowledge that all my experience of reality is a creation of my own head. And all the suffering that I have is because I cannot be with it. So if I can be with my mind, I can be with you. The comparing mind is very powerful.
Yeah.
I'm constantly comparing me to you. I'm comparing me to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm comparing me to the ideal me. You think you hold yourself to a standard that is not real, and you think that you can be that standard. And when you look outside, you have so much compassion to others and so on. And I think there is a part of it that is very arrogant. It's like pride.
Join the journey, stay for a while.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of KohPhanCast, the official podcast of Koh Phangan Island. This week with me, Yuval Fluke. Yuval described himself as a quality of life improver, helping people on a daily basis, getting out of their thoughts, out of their head, back into the heart. One of the founders of Inner Walk here in Koh Phangan. We had a beautiful conversation about the soul, about emotions, about thoughts, about identifying with your process. I really, really hope you enjoyed this conversation and it will help you like it helped me. Again, thank you, Yuval, for sharing your knowledge. And let's get into it. Guys, for me, please, you know the drill. Like this video, share it with your friends. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this conversation. Subscribe to the channel. You're helping me, help you, help everyone. Let's help. KohPhanCast, the official podcast of Koh Phangan Island. Enjoy the conversation. Yuval, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
So I heard about you the first time, even before I started doing this podcast. I had a list of 20, 30 people, and you were probably the third. You know, there's something super authentic about the energy that you bring to the table, about the goal that you have in your doing and in your life. And it's beautiful to see people that probably 99% of the focus goes in helping others. You know, so in behalf of me and everyone else, thank you for dedicating your life to it. And for the people out there that don't really know you, give me 30, 40 seconds.
So the first thing I say, I'm not sure how much I'm helping others, but I'm sure that I'm helping myself. And I'm trying to improve my quality of life, and that's my journey. The main topic that I talk about is improving quality of life. And one thing that I figured out that I enjoy being with other people. I love people, I love humanity. I think people are good in the nature, and we get confused through the process of living on this planet.
Yeah.
And this confuses, it's what takes the negative and suffering out of us. But at the nature, we are pure and good. So I try to help people to improve quality of life and not to be confused.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And I help myself by doing this.
Yeah. And honestly, let's get straight into it. Yeah. I think that at the end of the day, truly helping yourself and wanting to help yourself will eventually get you to helping others, because it's as I see it, collective consciousness. We are part of the same thing. So you helping yourself will eventually help others, and you helping others will get you finding the way to help yourself the clearest and the most natural way. You know?
Yeah. There is a sentence I sometimes share. I say, true selfishness is purity. But are you really selfish, or are you confused selfish? Because you can be confused selfish, and then you try to take and to fight and to argue, and you think you're selfish. But actually, if you're really selfish, you want to live in peace, in harmony. You don't want to have suffering in your mind all the time. And when you are fighting with people or taking all the time, you're actually having a lot of troubles in your head. So it's not pure selfishness.
Yeah.
But pure selfishness is in harmony and unity with everyone around you, nature, or people, whatever.
Yeah, doing this kind of selfishness, you mean taking, and it comes from the ego, comes from you think that you lack something, comes from you not trusting where you are, and I think that this kind of selfishness is arising from people when they have this, I don't know if they know consciously or not, but the illusion of separation, the thought that you are someone else than everyone else. It's so easy to fall into this pattern of okay, so I am me and they are them, which makes us separate. But when you understand that you're only just another way of how a human can act, you're just another example of what life, what experiences, how experiences can shape you to be. That's where you get a little bit more modest, Okay, so when I know that the only thing probably that authentic to me is how I choose to react to things and not the things that are getting inflicted upon me, that way I can be like, okay, so should I come out from my experience, or should I, what's the size, what size of things is bigger? The experiences that you go through or how you choose to perceive them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a modality that helps people to understand where they are. And I would say that every action, thought is an action also, and emotion and things that you actually do in the world or say, they need energy to exist. And this energy is coming from one of the two engines that you have inside of you. One of them is fear. Out of fear, you can do a lot of things. And the other one is love. And out of love, you can do a lot of things. And when you start to see where this energy is coming, when my words are coming, where my actions are coming, if you see it's coming from fear, is probably not serving you 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Because look, also fear is when a tiger is chasing you and you need to run to the tree. Yes, so that's will help save your life. But mostly we have fears that are creating movement, actions, words, and stuff like this, and then my actions are coming out of fear, and they will cause what we call separation.
Yeah.
So let's say if I'm afraid that I'm not having enough all the time, so I probably try to take more and more all the time. And then you see someone who have a $10 million in his bank account and is trying to take more and more.
Yeah.
What is there? It's some kind of a unexplainable fear. It's like lack of awareness to what is motivating me.
Yeah.
So I think if you start to see if you're moving out of fear or out of love, that can help you to navigate this journey and understand how to connect better to reality.
Yeah, and like you say, like there's two sides to, not more than two, but a lot of sides to fear and also a lot of sides for love, Fear can get you saved and safe sometimes, but love can get you attached sometimes, so it's, as I see it in life, it's less about what is presented to you and more about how you choose to perceive what is standing in front of you. Like the big ideas, like get me, if I'm right, I don't know. But the big ideas in life are all super subjective, because you can get yourself trapped in thinking, you think about love and, a lot of people treat attachment as love. And treat like anxiety and fear, because I think we came here to be a little bit scared, to double in the feeling of fear, of anxiety, because it's the united force field of consciousness or whatever you want to call it. Those things doesn't exist because you don't have subjective minds over there,
So I would say first that probably if you get attached, it's not coming from love, it's coming from some fear. So that's probably that we're coming back from love to fear. And I will say that I think the purpose of emotions, and specifically when we're talking about fear, it's like a signal for you to be careful, watch what is happening, meaning that you need to become aware to something. So let's say you're driving the car and the light starts to signal you something. If you keep ignoring it, you will break down the car.
Yeah.
And I think emotions and fears and stuff like this are there to signal us something. And if we don't know to read the lights, the LED, so we will get confused and the car will break down. And the car is our system, it's the body and everything. It's a vehicle that carries us. So, I think that at some point fear is serving you, and at some point it stops serving you. And I think that's the delicate thing to notice when it's already not necessary.
And for a simple human being out there that is trying to rid himself, to be more conscious of what he feels, what would be a good start to put a conscious eye on your emotions, to be more clear with yourself, to stop lying to yourself?
Well, there is many different modalities that help you to look at yourself. It can be through basic stuff like talk therapy, when you're actually sitting with someone and you're sharing your experience. It can be with a friend, it can be with a professional. And you can go to other modalities like journaling, but also you can go to other modalities such as inner walk, which inner walk is basically a practice that trains you to observe your own mind without interfering in the experience itself.
Yeah.
So then by doing this for a while, you're becoming more and more aware to what your mind is doing. And actually, at some point, you start to understand, well, I'm not creating those thoughts. Those thoughts are just coming in.
Yes.
And then, normally I follow those thoughts. But now when I start to observe them, I see that I can see something, but I don't have to do something about it. Like my mind is telling me this is dangerous. And if I learn to stay with it for a while, I see, well, yeah, my mind said it's dangerous, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the fear is gone, or the attachment, or the jealousy,
Yeah.
or the...
The demon is not as bad as we think it is. And yeah, exactly like that, you know, like I explain myself that, like, am I the voice that talks, or am I the being that listen to those voices that talk inside my head? You know, and that's another separation, that like, okay, I cannot be both of them. I cannot like constantly talk and constantly listen. And so there's a conversation going inside there. So those thoughts, where do you think are coming from? And I'm going to get back to inner walk because I want to know more about that for sure.
Well, I will say something like this. The mind, in its nature, is two parts. One of them is the emotional part, and one of them is the logical part. What we mostly calling thoughts is the expression of the logical part of the mind. And the purpose of the logical part of the mind is solving problems. Now, it doesn't necessarily classical problem as you will consider problem, but there is things that create tension in me. And this part of what we call thoughts is there to create solutions to the things that are creating tension inside of me. So one of them is, let's say you tell me that my shirt is not nice. Now I'm walking with worries that people don't like the way I look.
Yeah.
And I'm having thoughts I should go to the shopping mall. Maybe I should look in the mirror. Maybe I should tell you, don't talk to me like this, and so on and so on, because I don't feel comfortable with the tension. Yeah. But also, if I have a really good experience and I go to a restaurant with friends and we really have a nice talk, the next day I'm having thoughts, how can I invite them again and where we should go eat next time?
Yeah.
So, like, what's the problem here? It's not a problem, but it still created tension in me. So, like, a good experience can create a tension, and then the thoughts will be, how do I get more of that? And if it's a negative that creates the experience, the thoughts will be how to fix it or avoid it.
Yeah.
And the nature of the mind is to create creative solutions for the tension that we carry inside. When you start to observe the thoughts for a while, it can be a little bit confusing because sometimes we don't know what is the tension. So you see your mind is very active about something and trying to get into some solution of something, and you actually don't understand what he's trying to solve. But it might be that we have some parts of us that carry tension and we don't even know the source of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we cannot discover it, but at that moment in my life, I don't know what is the source of the tension.
Yeah.
I will say that if you want to quiet your mind, you will need to learn to observe your thoughts, and slowly you will touch the source of the tension. And when you come to that place and you give this place what it really needs, this place is dissolving. And when this place is dissolving, there is no need for thoughts to resolve it.
Yeah.
So then you slowly will see your mind will get quiet by you willing to be with that part. I'll give a simple example so it will make sense. I have a lot of fears. Those fears are creating a lot of ways for me to try to control reality. Only there, we sleep only there, we eat only this, we go only there, I don't speak with you, you're dangerous, and so on, so on, so on. So I have a lot of control. And so this is where is the background, yeah? And in the front, in my experience, I have a lot of expectations. So my minds create a lot of expectations, how things should be, when they should happen, how they should happen, yeah? In order for me to have more control of my experience, so I will not meet my fears.
Feel safer.
Yeah, so you see, I have expectations, and it's coming from the need of control, which is coming from fear and what I'm afraid of, yeah, and so on. So the projector on the screen is, why are you late? I set a time with you and you came 3 minutes late. And this is because I had a lot of expectations for you to be on time.
Yeah.
But like, why am I so stressed about it? Where this is coming from? You see, if I start to touch this, And suddenly I wake up and I say, wow, wait. It's okay that you come whenever you want.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not a big problem. What am I stressed about? But it requires a little bit of this work.
Yeah.
I will say one last thing about it. No, just
as much as you want.
just open it. My main modality is to learn to observe the thoughts without trying to analyze them.
Yeah.
Because what I feel that there is something inside of me that is greater than my intellect,
Exactly.
that as long as I'm allowing myself to be present with what my mind is doing, it kind of solving itself. So it's not me creating the thoughts, it are the fears that are creating the thoughts. And it's not me to need to solve it, it's me that need to observe it.
Yes.
And when I observe it, it solves itself. Because this is a great optimization system. It's like very sophisticated, the best AI.
Yeah, 100%. And you see so many people walking around, thinking that through thoughts they can solve their things, and if your conscious perception is like the tip of the pyramid, how you perceive and everything that works or doesn't work is really, really at the base, and if you have no ability to consciously look at the base that you are coming from, how do you think the top of the pyramid can be a place to look from, consciously to perceive life as they are, First of all, you really need to go through soul searching to meet your fears. I know that I learned the most in my life the moment I was like, you know what? I'm not trying to be safe anymore. I'm not trying to control anything anymore. I'm trying to experience, and when it comes to experiences, I think that us learning through pain, through anxiety, through depression, through going from those tough situations, because I really believe that there is no tree that can go to heaven if his roots doesn't go to hell. These two sides of the spectrum, you gotta have it. You cannot experience happiness and enlightenment and fulfillment to an extent if you didn't perceive the other side of the scale, which is feeling lack and feeling lost and not being where you want to be. Because by navigating through places that you don't want to be at, you will slowly find the places that you do want to be at. Do you remember times in your life before you came to this conclusion, to start this path, that you were lost and what helped you come out of there?
I will share a few things about what you said. The first one, I do believe that we need to go into the dark side of our soul.
Yeah.
I would say that I would do it in a way that I can handle it. So let's say I wouldn't jump from 0 to 100. I would look for steps to go through this process, because eventually if I will jump too far, my system will shut down and contract, and then I will basically withdraw even more.
Yeah.
So like the urge to perfectionize your life can push you too strong forward. So you need to find the right speed for you.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge that I would look at it. And I want to say another thing. I think the part of us that can live in equanimity, in peace and heaven, whatever we want to call enlightenment, I don't know, whatever label we give it, is the part that is accepting that the reality is not perfect or it's already perfect.
Yeah.
Meaning, for me, is that if I try to customize my life all the time in order to make it perfect, it's actually me saying I'm running away from something. I'm running away from something. And this running away from something will create more fear and control inside of me. So I'm not saying that you need to go to live in hell. That's not my message.
No.
But I need to understand that I need to stop running away from something. Once I can do this, I will find peace. So let's say there is noise. It disturbs me. Okay, but it's very hard to live life without noise. So I need to learn how to handle this noise and learn how to be with the challenges. There is a thing that is running now around in some Zen monasteries and Shaolin temples and those sacred places that people go to practice and meditate, that I heard it from few different masters around the world, that they basically took their people and moved them to the Central Park. And they say you have to sit here and you practice. If you cannot practice in the Central Park, what are you think that you're doing?
Exactly.
So that is the kind of taking us into the noise in order to learn to be in peace with the noise.
Exactly. It's so easy to get yourself away from all the noises and then think, oh yeah, I'm a monk, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, you're just isolated yourself for that. But the idea, it's like people coming here to Koh Phangan and being like, oh yeah, this place allows me to be. You experience yourself in a certain state of consciousness when you're here. Your task is go back to where you came from and have still those, things, qualities, because you allowed yourself to be what you were. It wasn't any magical force from outside allowing you to be someone. You let yourself go. You let go of the things that, oh, I cannot be in Germany or in Israel or in Brazil or whatever because it's too this, it's too that. It's your limiting beliefs that then you come to places like this and you shatter this. But the moment you go back to where you came from, those gates are coming back because you worked maybe a little bit too much on how you feel when you're here, but too less on how to bring these thoughts and feelings and state of consciousness back to where you came from.
I would say that even that will not work for a long time in Koh Phangan.
Yeah.
At some point, you start to deal with visa and legality and making money and work permit and all the real life things. And then you start to live in a place that people coming and going all the time. And then it's difficult to create relationships.
Exactly.
And so at some point, you meet yourself again and it's... Again, Koh Phangan fever for sure, 1, 2, 3 months, it will work very good.
Yeah.
But after a while, you'll just come back. It's just a place that you live and you have a real life.
Not all that glitters is gold.
For sure. You asked me before about personal journey. People ask me, when did I started, this thing? And I answer 47 years.
Yeah.
My mother shoot me out and I started. And I cannot put you a point where things like this was the changing point. Things changed through my life.
Yeah, for sure.
Constantly, I feel changes, and still I learning and I'm growing, and I'm. It's like it's moving. But I can say that there was few points that I can point to were very, very interesting. I did some work in the medicine journey. So when I started to do plant medicines, for sure, it's created a lot of teachings and wisdom and change in me. When I went first started to do inner walk, and I spent like 1 year there, that was a very deep point in my life. And there were many more.
Yeah, of course.
So I cannot say one or the other. But in general, I was quite lucky in my life. That's why they call me Fluke. Fluke is lucky. So.
Yeah. Let's go to the inner walk because I wanted to get back there. Let's talk about the start of inner walk. How did it come here? What is it? What are we doing inside of it?
So my teacher, I had few great teachers in my life. My teacher, Pa Olan. Pa is a monk. Olan is his name. He just passed away a few months ago, just 3.5 months ago. I know him for almost 9-10 years. And back then he just became a monk. And when he became a monk, he was sitting in the temple and he was waiting for people to come to take pictures. Literally, that's what happened in the temple. People come to take pictures in the temple. And then he grabbed them. And he was very good in catching people and their attention. And he was starting to talk with them. And somehow they find it themselves coming to take a picture and walking for 4 hours back and forth in the main hall of the Shala. He was very good in this. And he was doing it alone with himself in the temple, and people were coming and going. And he was running with it for 2-3 years. And at some point, I met him regardless to inner walk. It was kind of a friendly introduction. And we started to talk every week, every 2 weeks. And about 8 years ago, he came to me one day, and he came to me and he did like this with the finger. Tomorrow, you come walk. And the monk tells you have to come walk.
I'm going to walk.
You don't want to argue with him. So I went to walk the next day. and I start walking, and I can say a lot about this, but I basically didn't stop for 1 year. I walked every day with him for 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And after a little bit, he told me to sit next to him, and I helped him, supported him in the facilitation and with some English. His English wasn't so
Yeah.
perfect back then, but he improved. His English improved all the time. And after a while, I started to facilitate also in a walk. And I think 2-3 weeks after I start walking, he sat down with me, and he told me about his vision that Koh Phangan will become the diamond in the world, that people from all over the world, they will come to Koh Phangan, not because of full moon, they will come because of inner walk. They will come to get the spiritual development. And he had this vision, and that we need to create a place, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't even have a name for it. It wasn't with a name. Then when we started to raise funds and to rent a land and to build a shala, we understood that we need to give it a name, and then the name Inner Walk came, and the rest was history. And it's now, I think, 9+ years that he was walking, about 7 years the organization of Inner Walk is existing.
Yeah.
And I think that about more than 10,000 people already practice in our facility, and also with teachers from Inner Walk that traveling around the world and are teaching the practice. I will say another thing that all people will know: it's an organization with no ownership. So we hold the organization, we maintain the website, but there is no copyrights, and everyone can use the name Inner Walk, and everybody can use the practice. We don't have certificates, we don't have anything. We just share the modality, and people can do it whenever they want. If they go to the website, there is like a guidance video, and we now trying to improve the teachings online so people more easy can connect to it. But everyone free to use it, and to use it in different contexts. So let's say people who are doing yoga and teacher training, so they also practice it.
Yeah.
So we mix it with other modalities. And
Yeah, how can you take copywriting for meditation, for a state of mind, Like I don't really.
yeah, but sometimes there is. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying we don't have copyright, and everybody can use it.
It's so amazing one time after another seeing that one right, again, thought, vision, one person that is clear enough with themselves can spark up fire in so many, you say more than 10,000 people, it's amazing to see how much force we have as single human beings when we navigate our currency, our energy to the right places to make flowers grow. It's absolutely amazing. And can you share a little bit from the experience of walking every day for a year? Like what's the goal in Inner Walk? What drew you to do it, except of the monk saying walk? Guide me a little bit with the experience.
So I'll say a few things. The first one, before I go to that,
Yeah.
there is a song by another teacher of mine, my plant medicine teacher. And there is a word in the sentence in the song: we can change the universe by being who we are. And if you discover who you really are, you will change your own life, but also you will change the entire universe by that. And I think that's one of the teachings that I also received by the monk, that he followed this path and he affected so many people. The second thing to say about Inner Walk, that it's quite a tricky question what you ask, because there is no goal.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put a goal on that practice, because it's actually counterproductive to the practice itself.
Exactly.
There is another sentence in another song of another one of my teachers, and she says there, if you only seek, you will not find, because seeking make human heart blind. And it's also the point when you're having a goal, it's like you're looking for something.
Yeah, I want to grab something.
But you actually, when you want to grab it, you don't see the picture.
Exactly.
So it's a tricky questions when we are dealing with consciousness. I will share a few things.
I put it out like that exactly because of the.
Yeah. So I will share a few things. I will say few things. One of them: if you make me angry, where is the anger?
In you?
It's inside my head.
Yeah.
So I look at you, I see something, and I'm having a thought that you are not good.
Yeah.
And now I don't like this thought, so I'm getting angry because of my own thought.
Mm-hmm.
And because I cannot be with my own thought, I'm actually angry. So it's not necessarily you, because other people are not angry at you and you're doing the same thing.
You
So
listen.
it's my mind. So first of all, I acknowledge that all my experience of reality is a creation of my own head.
Mhm.
And all the suffering that I have is because I cannot be with it. So if I can be with my mind, I can be with you.
Mhm.
Okay. So the first thing that inner walk is training you is to be with your mind. It's not being done in a harsh way. It's actually a very gentle way. The way we guide it is when you walk, you just let your mind to do what it wants. Unexpectedly, your mind will not take you immediately to the harshest type of thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go to walk. Because when I tell you to go to walk and to be with your mind, immediately, oh, my mind is not a nice place, you know? But actually what your mind is doing is giving you the level of what you can handle. And slowly, when you're in the space of the practice and you walk with this, you're getting used to be with your mind. And slowly the level will go up as much as you can handle. And at some point, you will get to a level that you can handle everything.
Yeah.
Which is a very nice place to be, because now I can be with myself and I'm not afraid to be with myself, meaning that I'm not afraid of you.
Exactly.
Okay, so now I can walk on this planet and fear is not controlling me. Now, after 1 hour of practice, you get some benefit. After 4 hours, you get more benefit. After 20 hours, you get more benefit. So I walked, and the more I walked, I learned more to be with myself. And
Yeah.
I think that's the main point that I can say about this practice.
Mm.
In my life, when I arrived to Inner Walk, I was already more than 16 years, I'm not working in real things. And I only sit and talk with people, trying to support them in improving quality of life.
Yeah.
And I don't look at it as a job. I do it for fun. I don't make money out of this. And this process with Inner Walk trained me to be with myself, but also it was the best lab, experimental environment for me to understand how this is working. What is thoughts? What is emotions? What is inspiration? What is creativity? What are fears? You know, like all this inner experience. So big part of me continuing walking every day for a very long time was to see what's going on inside of me and how does it work. And when I understood how this system is working and how I create my perception, what is the matrix? Yes, what is the matrix? The matrix is the system that creates the picture that you see about reality. And this system is a technology inside of us. And once you understand how the matrix is operated, you cannot be fooled by the matrix anymore.
Yeah.
So you're becoming free from the matrix. The matrix is not the government, is not the medical industry, is not the food industry, is not the police, is not the IRS. No, this is not the matrix. The matrix is your inner perception. So when you understand this, you cannot be fooled by your own inner creation.
Yeah.
And in that point, you're becoming free. Am I totally free? No. But I am more and more free every day.
Yeah.
And I feel that I live in a reality that even if you trigger me and I get activated, I can handle it in a healthy way. I will not project it back on you immediately. I will not go into a war because something is not the way I like it. I will be able to express what I'm feeling and slowly navigate it in, I think, healthy way
Mm-hmm.
through the troubles that I'm facing in my life.
Exactly. The understanding that life happens inside out and not outside in, you know, will get you like, okay, I can feel triggered, you know, but I'm not immediately from instincts shoot out, you know. I look inwards because I know that I cannot have an external solution to an internal problem.
Yes.
You know, so when I know everything is in my mind and all of what this looks like, it's because the seeds of my mind, the energy, again, the attention that I put into places, you know, is what it is. So everything can manifest the way it does, you know. So how would you suggest what would be the first thing a person needs to do? Anger issues, straight away shooting out. What does a person need to do to understand it? That, okay, chill.
Well, it's funny that you're asking this question this now. I was in my mind thinking while you were talking that maybe we need to focus how to start the process. And it's exactly what you took.
Yeah.
Magical. So I would say that even though that the purpose of this work is to allow me to be in everywhere in my life, I think a good beginning is to think how to create spaces, even if it's for 1 hour a day, or even if it's for 2 weeks break or 3 months break. And this is a Koh Phangan podcast. So we are in an environment that allows us mostly to get this. Is to start to dedicate time for understanding the inner process. So if you're now back in your home and you're hearing this, so pack a bag, leave everyone that you know and go 2 weeks to another place. That's the basic of it. Just get out of your own environment. That could be a great start. Start to see other people, other way of thinking. Don't carry your past with you. Go to another place. Because if you stay at home, all your people around you keep projecting to you who you are, what you are, the same narratives, the same news, the same media. So get out. Getting out is a good start. Another thing is find something that you can do that is not require you to explain yourself and allows you to be with yourself. So you can do yoga, you can do meditation, you can do inner walk, you can do even jogging. Start to work to be with yourself without communicating outside. There is different things. When you do jogging, it might be easier for you than just sitting in meditation, because in sitting in meditation, you will hear your own voices. When you do jogging, it's easier. You also will hear your voices, but the energy is moving. It's easier.
You need to keep on breathing.
And so you have other things to focus. Also, understanding that you can ask questions from people who've been in this journey before you. For example, a lot of people believe that meditation is sitting quiet and not having thoughts. I'm not sure that this is meditation.
I think as well.
Okay. So, but if you just go to meditation and you believe that it's need to be quiet, you will be disappointed.
And suffering every second of the way.
So, finding guidance. In every tradition and every religion, they will tell you, find your teacher. Your teacher is not your master. He is not the someone who tells you what to do in life. He's just someone who helps you to point to the road.
Exactly.
And where is the path for you? So I think you can try walking. Walking will help you. You go walking. Oh, maybe you try sitting. And the guy, the teacher, the whatever you call it, is there to support you, to show you other paths that you can use in order to learn who you are. At this point, it's important to say, because where I come from in my past, when you tell me to listen to a teacher or anyone else, I have resistance to it. I don't want someone to control me. I don't want someone to tell me. It's not the point of it. It's like the finger that is pointing to the moon. If I'm pointing now to the moon, as long as you're looking at the finger, you will never see the moon. So you need to look at my finger only for 1 second. And then go to look for the moon. And the teacher is the finger. He's just pointing you to a place and you go to look yourself.
Exactly. And it's so, it's so sophisticated to the point, like, okay, if the teacher is the finger, the thing is not looking at the teacher. The thing is looking at the practice, and a real teacher will never tell you that he's teaching you something. He's showing you how to teach it to yourself, how to absorb the understanding of this lesson by yourself. And, we say we live in Koh Phangan, we have a lot of space and creative and no problem, but the other side exists just as much. People that are trying to get inside themselves the whole mentor perspective, and I am this and I am that, and pay for my yoni this and do that. And the main focus needs to be how you need to absorb knowledge and less about how you're going to follow this dude or that master of this. And because it can get kind of tricky, because there's a lot of people involved that are kind of hurt or not to the full extent of their best selves right now. How do you separate between a teacher student mentality and people that are looking for, some people need you need air for breath, and they think that their teacher are going to get them this air. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say a few things. One, probably there is tons of amazing teachers and teachings around Koh Phangan. The second thing to say is that it's hard to know what will work for me, so it requires me to experiment.
Yeah.
So I need to experiment. And the third thing, me looking for a savior is a process for me to grow from. And a lot of people at the beginning, they need someone they're projecting the savior process. And some people are also coming to me and they think I'm going to save them.
Yeah.
Maybe for a few days, it might look like this, but eventually they need to help themselves. And maybe now you're really spiraling and you need someone to grab you and to hold you.
Yeah.
That's fine. But it's not going to work for a long time. It's going to work for a few days.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the self that grows in me to understand that nobody's going to save me. And I need to find the answers inside myself and with my practices. Sometimes the place where someone is playing the game is for a few years, they are just trying to figure out that part. Oh, I need to help myself. If they give me pills or I just follow some instructions, it will not work.
Yeah.
And sometimes, people spend 20 years trying to look for the savior. And sometimes, it takes less. But I think we all have some part that we think, I'm going to meet some smart guy, some practice, and that will change my life. Of course.
If you let it, if you choose that you're going to help yourself doing it, it will change your life. The perspective, you can embrace the perspective. But the person that has this perspective that is teaching you is not your solution. You embodying the idea that you're now listening to will do the magic, So people need to understand that no teacher and no way and no religion is going to set them free. It's only them allowing themselves to shatter those walls, this ego, which, again, the war on ego. I don't think every time we talk about ego, it's a very new age thing to blame the ego. The ego does this, the ego does that. The ego kind of keeps you alive at some point.
I'll give you a different perspective maybe that I can share. The ego is a self-defense mechanism of the self. So without an ego, you cannot cross the street because the ego is protecting the self. That if you go to cross the street, you see a car, the things that stop you from running into the middle of the street is your ego.
Yeah.
So the ego is there to protect you. Now, we can ask, what does it protect? And I said the self is made out of different identities. I have my body. I'm identified with my body. So the ego will protect my body as well. But it also will protect my belief system. I believe that everyone needs to be vegan. Okay, so I'm a vegan. So my ego will defend this idea and will protect this idea. So the ego is just an empty self-defense system that whatever you put an identity, it'll protect it.
Yeah.
Now, if you change your identity, your ego will protect this new identity.
Accordingly, yeah.
And the way to look at this is that I'm a carnivore. I like to eat meat all day. So if you come to me and you tell me to be vegan, I will tell you, no, what are you talking about? My ancestors, they also eat meat. And you and your veganism, it's not relevant. It's your made-up idea. So that's my ego now. So 2 weeks passing, and for some miracle reason, I decide I'm becoming vegan. Now I'm vegan, and I meet the next guy in the street, and he comes and tells me, no, you should eat meat. And I'm telling, what are you talking about? Meat is not good. It's not healthy. You're hurting the animals, and you're cruel, and all of these things. And suddenly I'm defending the vegan. 2 weeks passing by, for some crazy reason, I decide to go back to eat meat. Yeah. You come to talk with me and say, no, this vegan thing is not so important. You can eat whatever you want. Yeah. And that's the ego. You will constantly defend whatever is that your belief system is. So instead of trying to kill your ego, maybe you should confront your belief system and check how strong you want to hold it. And then when your ego is saying defense, 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 you might be able to identify it and to understand that you don't have to follow it. But if you're going to kill your ego, you will not be alive for very long.
Yeah.
So you need to find
Absolutely.
the issue is not the ego.
Absolutely. And, it's so 2024, 2025 to say ego death and do this and kill the ego and shatter the ego. And the ego kept you alive for so long. Like, why not, instead of killing it, embrace it, hug it? You cannot fight with a part of yourself and expect to come out winning because you're fighting yourself. Inside of you, why even the concept of fight, of war, of anything that is like that, inside of you is, I believe truly, this is my temple. Inside of me, I want to be vulnerable and want to be honest. Like, the relationship that I have with myself and the relationship that I have with other people is completely different. I'm super harsh with myself. Everything needs to be perfect. Nothing is ever good enough. Super deep imposter syndrome for years now. But when it comes outside, I'm all for other people. I'm all for making them. I think it's surrounded around me not wanting others to feel with themselves what I feel with myself. But it's constant resolutions after resolutions. That's why I like to see myself in extreme situation, in 10 days water fasting, in vipassanas, in doing this, doing that, to see the extreme, to understand where is all of this coming from. And what helped me the most is just understanding that the imperfection is what makes me unique at the end of the day. Because if everybody's perfect, no one's perfect, everything is flat, thank you, bye. But those things, like, if you can achieve coming from such a dark place, which I still don't know where it comes from, but it is what it is, or not, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you come from such a place and you find a way to make something positive out of it, you make what you considered your weakness, suddenly it becomes one of your biggest powers. I think I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but it feels amazing to be able to shift things like that, and do you think, do you have any idea how can someone be so harsh with themselves and so good with others?
Yeah, of course. I can say many things about it, but I think I'll give a different aspect that maybe is not being talked so much. I think it's come from arrogancy. You think you hold yourself to a standard that is not real, and you think that you can be that standard. And when you look outside, you have so much compassion to others and so on. And I think there is a part of it that is very arrogant. It's like pride.
I love it.
And so, you hear concepts in spiritual talkings and spiritual teachings, and you think that you are that place, in that place, or you have to be in that place, and you don't accept that you're just a human being, same as everybody else. Nobody's better here. You have fears, you have concerns, you have disassociations inside your head. You have you're getting disconnected. You're not present sometimes. There is tension in you. And then you judge yourself for being a human being.
Yeah.
It's like there is sometimes I tell people to stop touching spiritual content. Because what I see that can happen is that you listen to spiritual content, and the more you listen to this, you just see what you're not. And then you have a lot of food for the self-critic voice. Yes, it's feeding the self-critic voice. And so now you can judge yourself more because you have created a higher standard or hills that you can be at. And it's a very painful place to be. And sometimes we're feeding this place. And so that's also a part that I'm not so much encouraging us to listen to too much spiritual content.
Yeah, I stopped with it a couple of years back. Because you fill your head with ideas that sounds good, but in the practical way,
very different. You're not there. So, and it's okay to mix your practices with some spiritual studies, but it needs to be in the right balance and not too much pushy. the comparing mind is very powerful.
Yeah.
I'm constantly comparing me to you. I'm comparing me to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm comparing me to the ideal me, the one that I read
Yeah.
in the book about me.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly comparing. And there is a nature in the comparing mind that can take a lot of negativity inside. It can make me very arrogant or maybe with a lot of fears and anxiety. So we need to see that we are not feeding this comparing mind so much.
And how do you stop feeding this comparing mind?
For me, it was becoming aware of this experience. Like I start to notice more quickly what my mind is doing. And you see, when I'm saying what my mind is doing, it seems like it's not what me doing, it's what my mind is doing.
Yeah.
Because the more I observe my mind, I understand that he has a life of its own.
Absolutely.
Like if it was in me say quiet. Well, it's not quiet.
Yeah.
So it's not me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, it's not me.
Yeah.
Something is happening
Yeah.
here. So my mind is very noisy. And the more I see the noise of my mind, it can less confuse me.
Yeah.
And so I can gain back the navigation of the boat.
Yeah.
So when I see that my mind is navigating me to compare me to you, I can say, wait, like, it doesn't serve me. Wait,
Yeah.
stop. Okay. This is where I want to go. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll navigate back there. So I can more navigate my mind or my direction.
Yeah.
So part of me is playing with release control. Is the moment when I practice to observe my mind, I release control.
Yeah.
And there is another part of me who can gain control.
Exactly.
I'm saying, wait, not going there. We're going there now.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm now sitting with you and my mind goes somewhere, it's like, wait, we don't do this now. We go there now.
Absolutely.
We stay here. Now, then I go to inner walk and I spend an hour there and I say, mind, you wanted to go there? I'm with you. Go there. I want to see what you're doing. So there is parts that I dedicate to observe my mind and to learn about it. There is parts when I learn to gain control and to focus on one place. And that's the two different modalities that we practice. One is focusing, yes, and one is observation. Focusing is we come here. The observation, I let go.
Yeah.
And I let it to navigate. And when I master these two skills, I can live life because there is no secrets here. Because I learn to observe and to see all the things. And also, it doesn't navigate where it wants. I can navigate where I want.
Yeah.
It's the balance between the two.
Yeah. One saying that I had is like for those exact situation with the thoughts and like identifying yourself with the thoughts. It's like, there's a huge river out there that every day you go and you put your head inside of. But after you put your head inside of the river, you will not ask yourself why your head is wet. So why with your thoughts? We are so into we're thinking all day long, whether we want it or not. Sometimes you can hear it more, sometimes you can hear it less. But the fact that you are thinking, so how can you ask yourself why am I thinking if you're so used to this process of thinking without control, without I'm just running away with my thoughts and this happens and this happens and this happens and do you have did you start from a tool or something that helped you shift back to the current moment to now?
I think my main practice that I mastered was the inner walk. I just want to say that this process has two sides. And one of the sides is the food that you eat. And the second one is how you handle the experience of the food that you eat.
Yeah.
And being with the thoughts and observing the thoughts and learning to focus is how can I be with what's already in me.
Yeah.
But also don't forget that every day you put something inside of you. So if you go and you listen to the news every day, and the news has a nature to talk about troubles and problems and anxiety and all these troubles, so, don't be surprised why your mind is talking about those things.
Yeah.
So, if you don't sleep good at night, maybe you should listen to less noise in the day. So I think you need to be mindful also for what you put inside of you. And sometimes I'm having a relationship, business or friendship or partnership, whatever it is, with a person that is sending a lot of noise into my space. Maybe I need to learn to be with noise, and maybe I can move myself outside of the noise.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to learn
Yeah.
how to navigate those places. Yes, so it can be the media, it can be other people, it can be different things. Like I'm scrolling in the feed of Instagram all day long, and then I see that I'm having a lot of thoughts about how I look and how people see me. Well, if all day I'm looking at what are other people doing and how they look, so I'm having a lot of thoughts of how people look at me and how they see me and how do I come up and how do I show up to the world. Maybe I've created this narrative inside, because if I'm looking outside all the time, it's very convenient for me to have an experience that people look at me, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm cheating on my partner, I will think that my partner is cheating on me.
Yeah.
You see, I'm creating these thoughts. It's like because my actions are creating the narratives of my mind. So becoming mindful for what your mind is doing and what is feeding this mind.
Yeah.
And this is the things that I'm trying to look. So, today in reality, I'm not doing everything that I used to do 15 years ago.
Yeah, of course.
There's some things I stopped doing.
Of course.
Because I learned that they are not so healthy for me. But for sure, from the world of practices, physical practices, observing yourself, journaling, all these things is very good places to start with.
Question out of nowhere. What's the most repetitive thought in your mind these days?
So, before I answer this, I will explain something that will give a context.
Please.
I have this narrative inside of me that says that if my mind is in a loop about something, it's because I don't understand reality in the right way. So if I'm angry at you every day and I believe that I don't understand something, and then I need to go and figure out what I don't understand. And the way for me to signal myself those things is that, let's say we're having an argument now. So it's kind of obvious that after I leave here, 2 hours later, I will think about you.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes sense. I'm unsettled, and,
Yeah.
Okay, and I go to sleep at night and I lie in bed and I close my eyes and I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we understand where it's coming from. And I wake up the next morning and I'm thinking about you.
You cannot stop.
Okay, so for me, if I wake up with the thing the next day, I call it is the small flag. Okay, I see that I didn't
there.
find peace.
Yeah.
Didn't find peace. So that's a good signal for me to look. Then another day passing, and the second day I wake up in the morning. It's 2 times already, and I was thinking about this. So now it's not a small flag, it's a flag. That means that I need to look at something.
Yeah.
It's like my system didn't resolve it with itself. Okay, so that's like my signals. I wake up in the morning, what am I troubled with?
Yeah.
That's a good signal. And if it's repeating itself for a few days, I need to look into it. Okay, I need to do something. So that's my narrative, and that's how I look at my life.
Yeah.
So, in my life, usually when this thing is happening, I'm confronting it. And if I need to take actions, I will take actions. If I just need to sit with it, I'll just sit with it. So whatever modalities that help me to understand, I will use. Because I'm not just doing spiritual talking and paka.
Of course.
I'm also engaged with projects and real life things, and we're building now the Wonder Village and all these things. So let's say now, a few weeks ago, I had some repetitive thoughts that are coming around the finishing of the project.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point I saw that I'm not giving it the right effort from my side. And I'm only talking about helping people, but I'm not doing the real actions that I needed to do. So I stopped my calendar. I stopped scheduling with people, and I dedicated time to deal with the real things that I need to solve there. And what I saw immediately is just I made this decision. I didn't solve the problems in the reality.
Yeah.
I just made this decision. Suddenly my system relaxed.
Yeah.
And my mind kind of came into a place that he's not even saying it, but he's like feeling it, that it's okay. We are giving it the proper attention now. And so things will be sorted because your focus is in the right place. So that is a way that I actually took a real action in the world, that I was listening to my challenge and I did what is necessary. Sometimes it's just realizing something. I don't need to even make an action.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not ignoring it. And the way for me that maybe you can look at it from a different perspective is you see yourself as a parent and you're having a little child and the child is constantly having a problem. You know, you cannot ignore it.
Yeah.
At some point you need to see,
But first,
I didn't change the diapers for 2 days.
oopsie.
Okay, maybe we change the diaper.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you cannot keep ignoring what's happening inside of you.
Of course.
And this is a little child.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen to it, he will start to scream.
Yeah.
And then it will be difficult to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So I'm attending to it when it's necessary. My lesson in life that the quicker I attend to it, the less challenging is to resolve it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not running to solve it. So first day, small flag. Second day, bigger flag. Okay, let's look. Okay, so I'm not running to solve all the problems, but I'm attending and observing they are still in my field. And then I will attend it in reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So my most repetitive thoughts these days is usually when I ask someone these questions, we straight away go to like, oh yeah, I had a negative thought about this or that, but I'm trying to make the most repetitive thoughts in my mind super positive and super big. Like, oh yeah, my mind tends to tell me I have an imposter syndrome and this and that. No problem. I'm here to help. I'm here to give. I'm here to be part of a community. I'm here to be part of an active community. That's what I'm trying to do here. You know, so consciously trying to make the most repetitive thoughts in my mind, thoughts that are conscious and unique to me, has helped me immensely than just, you know, letting whatever is coming up just come, you know, like not trying to control the thoughts, but just trying to implement like little drops of good things. Like for years now, I've been like observing my mind and trying to put it in like folders of, okay, what percentages of your thoughts you truly believe in? What percentages of your thoughts are coming from someone that you saw as someone who is respected, and like, so you took what they said without even observing it. What percentage of your thoughts are trauma that is disguised in life lessons, that is disguised in like, that is hiding inside of it, more thoughts of trying to control the situations and thoughts of like your comfort zone. So I think that just trying to look at your thoughts and separate what is unique to you, what is not unique, because there is a percentages of thoughts in you that came from outside. How do you separate between what is unique to you and what you took, adopted from surroundings?
I'll say something that might sound even more extreme.
Please do.
There is endless amount of sources of information.
Yeah.
You can read it in the media. I can hear it from you. I look at all of them as just noises in my head. And I'm not trying to separate them or to analyze them too much. I'll just say that I have few signs that help me. Every thought is, let's say, a repetition cycle. So if the interval is very intense or the volume of it is very high, it's a sign for me that it's probably coming out of fear. So I will understand that I should be careful with this one, not to follow it, and try to be and understand the source of it. Because if it's intensive, it's probably coming from fear. Usually, when I'm in a state that I have those kind of thoughts, I will not be able to hear the more quiet thoughts and the less repetitive ones.
Yeah.
The nature of love is not to be intensive. So whatever you find intuition, or your true voice, or your higher self, mostly will not scream. Mostly will not be loud, not be intensive. It will be like, it would be so cool to make a garden outside.
Yeah, abundance.
Okay, so this it will sound quiet. It will not come obsessive because
Oh my God, I gotta have a garden.
it's not. It's just a garden, you know. Now, the other side of having a garden, I must have a garden because we are living in dangerous times, and you know the world is ending, and everyone is polluted, and the food is poisoned, and you must have a garden. And okay, this is, you know, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. It's a very beautiful thing to have a garden, but if it's coming from that level of anxiety, this garden will be full with anxiety. It's nice to have a garden. That's how peace and love is sound.
Yeah.
When you are living in fear, it will be very intense. So one of the signals that I have is volume and interval. How loud it is and how often I hear it.
Yeah.
And that is a signal for me to be mindful to the process that is happening behind it, because it's probably not something that's coming from peace.
Yeah.
It's not always, but it's 99% true.
Yeah.
What I said now, at least, you know, for what I observe in my head. And I find out that if I want to hear higher self, intuition, all these things, I need to learn to be with the dark voices, the loud voices, and then they quiet down, and then I can find intuition and love and harmony.
Yes.
So that's like my main thing. Now, to tell you if it's my voice, it's your voice, you know what? It's your voice, it's beautiful voice, no problem, let's work with it.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much about that, whose voice it is.
Yeah.
It's more about how this voice is speaking to me. Because, you know, the voices of my teachers, they live in me. And I also share them with others sometimes. Does it make it not good voice because it's someone else?
No.
Yeah, okay, so it's not the source of the voice, it's how this voice is playing inside.
That's for sure. But what I was trying to get at is that if I repeat a voice, no matter who it is, but if I repeat an idea that I don't truly understand or fathom inside myself, and I just, okay, you know, then knowing the name of the idea, it's like you have a book. Okay, I know the title of it. Does it mean that I know what's going on inside the book?
Yeah. So, well, I will say like this. Whatever you send out to the world, you might think it's words or actions, but whatever you're sending is the source of the words and the action. The source cannot be manipulated. So you can repeat my words, but it will come from your source. It will not come from my source.
Yeah.
So the source cannot be manipulated. And the more you practice and you're getting more connected to yourself, you're more knowing your source, and your source is more aligned with whatever you can say is the Tao or the universe or the truth. Yeah, I agree with this. This is why I make fun of these parents that are saying not in front of the children, which is basically they're fighting in the room and they're going out with a smile to the kids. You cannot fool them.
Yeah.
You cannot fool them. You can try to manipulate it for a little bit, but at the end of the day, the energy that you carry with you, and from that place you carrying your actions, that's what people will experience.
Exactly.
So we feel the source. When you're doing something, I experience the source of it. When I do something, you experience my source. And so that cannot be manipulated. So that's why I also don't study too much, more practice and get connected to yourself, because that's when you'll do the real work. And then it's not important what your words will be. People will feel where it's coming from.
And about the kids, you know, your kids will not do what you tell them. They're going to do what you do.
No.
They're going to imitate you. They're not going to, oh yeah, I see mom and dad fucking fighting all day long, but they told me not to, so I'm not going to. You know, at the end, ultimately, surrounding, like, we're so easily influenced by people that we love and by people that we chose, that are important to us. Their opinion kind of matters to us, and what they're doing matters to us. And there is a separation between, you know, I know those are people I love, but does it mean that I have to listen, or that I have to absorb? Or like, how do you make the difference between like, okay, it's easy to just deflect people, like things that people say that you don't really either appreciate or that their energy is not like. How do you navigate the opinions and the thoughts of people that you do love, but are not really like fulfilling you?
I have few challenges with your questions.
Please.
The question itself.
Yeah.
I don't relate what I take from the world to how much close or not close I am to the person. And people I love and people I don't love, now we're getting into the question, what does it love?
Of course.
So I will say something like this. I don't mind who is saying what. It's have zero relevance for me in my life. It's not important. So it can come from the news, it can come from you, it can come from my mom, it can come from my teacher.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out where it arrives inside of me and where I can find it in my life. So one of my teachers said one day something very confusing and complicated. He says, he was talking about the difference between empathy and compassion.
Oh, wow.
And he
okay.
says, empathy is an amazing quality that never helped anyone. Compassion is what we're looking for. And that's kind of spiraled me around. You're like, why? Empathy is not a good thing. What he's saying, like, why empathy doesn't help? And actually, with time, I could realize and understand it. So the fact that my teacher said it didn't make me say others.
Yeah.
Okay? And it actually was confusing for me. So I looked inside and I was trying to figure out. And I'm not going to explain the difference now. But you can stay with it. And what I said now is probably triggering for many people.
Probably.
Yes, because people feel I'm such a good person. I'm an empath.
Yeah.
And I will say that being an empath does not help anyone.
Exactly.
Okay, so what is the difference between empathy and compassion? Be with it. Be angry at me now. Be spiraling and stay with it. Because at the end of the day, that's what we hear, some piece of wisdom. And we're just shooting it out and we don't. So, okay, so now if you don't like what I said, don't repeat it. But if you find what I said interesting, so you can go and say it.
That's exactly the thing, you know? Like, the first thing that came to my mind when you said the thing between empathy and compassion is that, like, compassion is empathy plus an action. You know, when you take your empathy and you put an action on it, it becomes compassion because it's an energy wave that you're inflicting in a direction, you know, like we said at the start, to create a circle where you put, like, energy is the currency of existence, you know, and if you choose to take your inner empathy and your outer actions with the energy that you have, that's where compassion comes from. That's my explanation. I don't know.
Now I have to say something about
Please.
Empathy as an element of identification with something. And I don't need to have identification with your experience in order to have compassion to your experience.
Of course.
Meaning that I can accept you for who you are. I can understand that for whatever reasons, that's who you became to be. I don't need to change you or to fix you. And I don't need to feel what you're feeling to have that understanding. So compassion is something from that field. Yeah. Empathy requires me to be in empathy for what you experience. So I need to feel what you're feeling. Now, I'm not sure that me feeling what you're feeling is helping you.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that it's helping me. So I will doubt that element of experience. And I can still have compassion to you. So you see, you're very angry at your friend. I'm sorry to tell you, I don't understand why you're angry. And honestly, I don't think you should be angry. But I can have compassion to the fact that you're angry and you're not satisfied from that.
Yeah.
And there is things inside of you that does not allow you to sleep good at night because of that. I don't have empathy, sorry.
Yeah.
But I still have compassion to your experience. So I think compassion is something that can allow us to connect to every human being and to be in a place that's supportive and accepting the experience of others and myself.
Yeah.
Empathy requires something else. And I'm not sure that it's helping actually anyone. By the way, people in great suffering would like people to have empathy to them. Again, I'm not sure it's helping them, but it seems that people in suffering, they want other people to feel their suffering.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's helping them.
Probably
But
not.
It's the nature of us not to be alone in the suffering, so we want other people to.
We don't want to carry it alone. We want
Okay, so
someone.
other people to identify
Yeah.
with our suffering.
Yeah.
Again, I will stay in the suffering if you have.
It will not take me out, but at
Okay.
least I see another person that is suffering with me.
So yeah. So I'm not. I'm challenging those perceptions.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I'm not sure that we don't get benefit from other people suffering with us, but I'm not sure that it will actually take me out of my own misery. And so maybe it's like ease on my pain for 5 minutes because you also have empathy to it. But actually, I'm still going to have this pain with me. So I will say that even in the work that we do in the context of supporting people getting out of suffering, there is some tendency to create groups. We have now 10 people that are suffering from the same thing. So let's create a group and work with them. I don't value this so much. I think it's putting 10 people to spiraling in some element of suffering. I'm not sure. I actually believe that if we take 10 people that are interesting to get out of suffering and they have different type of suffering, it might be more beneficial for them. Because we're looking to stay in suffering. There is an element inside of me that want to stay in the suffering. So I'm not so much in favor of creating group of people that can identify with each other's suffering, though that in many therapy modalities, that will be actually encouraged. 20 people that survive a war, 20 people that have sexual abuse, those kind of things. I'm not so keen about this concept. It's not something that I encourage too much.
Like, if I understand right, you mean like the amplification of suffering, and it becomes like a swamp of suffering inside the circle, and everybody is like getting. Why do we even want to stay in suffering?
Because it's familiar, because
We're
we
used
know
to it.
it, because changes are scary, and there is a lot of shame, like survival shames. And let's say I lost someone very dear to me. There is a shame to celebrate life after. Yes. But I'm sure if you speak with the guy who's not here already in the other world, and he will be able to send you a message, he will tell you to celebrate. But we have a shame about this. So there is many reasons why we don't allow ourselves to leave suffering behind.
Honestly, that was a beautiful conversation. And I want to thank you so much for this. And if there is anything else you want to tell those guys over there, please.
I think that my main message is to understand what is quality of life, and understanding that every given second we are trying to improve it. Sometimes we do it in the wrong way, so it's actually not really improved. But understanding that every given moment you are trying to improve your quality of life, and then try to find ways that actually improving it in a better way. Because also alcohol improves quality of life for a few hours, and then lives come back. And also drugs improve quality of life, but then it's coming back. So finding real ways to improve your quality of life, and keep researching and understanding that we come here to learn how to improve quality of life. And this journey of the soul that is living inside of us is a journey of love. We come here to learn about love and to find a way to understand love in a better way. And if you dedicate your life for that, I'm sure you will find ways to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yuval. KohPhanCast, guys.
Thank you.
Join the journey, stay for a while.